Hello, I hope that you are enjoying your lessons. This is a lesson review for area, and my hope is that if you're watching this video, you already feel like you understand area of a rectangle. Maybe you have had the lessons from me in person before, or maybe you've watched the YouTube videos of area of a rectangle before this one. This one is meant for those who have had the lesson from me or have had it multiple times, maybe from lower L, and you're ready for the next step, or you're doing this as a review. You already know what you're doing, but it's just good practice. And so I want to quickly go through the materials and how we use the materials. We're going to label some parts, and we're going to record in our journals to prepare you for your follow-up. So let me go ahead and switch our screen here, and we are going to, I want you to be able to see this material. Now, this material should be very familiar to you. You should know these pieces, and there's many, many more for other shapes and figures that we do area with. And so if this is unfamiliar to you, pause the video here and either send me an email asking which lesson you should be doing, or check out one of the other videos for area of a rectangle. Okay, so let's get started. And Selena, we're going to move through this pretty quickly. Feel free to chime in as if you were a student at the lesson table. Okay, so here I have a rectangle. And if I were trying to find the area or how much space this rectangle takes up, what is the first thing I need to know?
Can you repeat the question?
So if I'm looking to find how much space this takes up, or the area of this, what is the first thing I need to start with?
The numbers on the sides, like these ticks.
I need to count how many tick marks there are on the side. On this, each of these little tick marks represents 1 unit. I was wondering if she would see this hint right in front of her. You need to know the measurement of,
Yes.
You need to know the measurement of your piece. And so you could be using, this is an inch and centimeter ruler. You could use a ruler. You could use these that are marked on here as units. And if you watch some of the other videos, you can measure with anything, such as the length of a pen, which gets a little more challenging when you're doing different things. So for our yellow material, it's measured with units. And we can count. I'm going to actually make this side screen bigger. Okay, so you can see and follow along at home. I'm sorry, it looks a little bit blurry, but that's as best as we can do. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7, 8, 9, 10.
And there's not a mark at the end, but we know that's 10. How many are there on this side?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. Now, when we're looking at this material and we want to measure or count how many pieces there are, we need more information. Like, we need to know how many of these 5s there are. So if we were to extend the lines, is that enough information to count them all up?
Not really.
What else do you need?
We would need the lines for these tick marks that go up.
Oh, so Selena says she needs these lines. Is that enough information for you to find the area?
Well, it no longer has these side ticks.
Oh, Selena says we need to have both sets of lines to measure that out or to count it out. Now, we've done this work before, and so some of you know that there's many ways we could find the area of this. I'm going to give you just a minute to think of more than one way. I want you to think of at least 2 ways. And if you're not sure what the question is, I want you to think of 2 different ways we could find out how many squares are on this rectangle. Okay, now we're not going to go through all of the different ways because in the previous video we went through all of those. So if you're thinking you can only think of one, go back and find some of the other ones. But what we are going to do is we're going to look at the measures on these. One of the ways we determined in our last lesson was that we could count how many are on the bottom. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And we could count how many are on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we labeled up those pieces, Down here, we had 10 units. Let's switch you back here so you can see what I'm doing. I don't know what just happened. Pin. Okay, so down here on the bottom, we have 10 units. The base or the bottom. Cut that out. Down here along the bottom edge, it is 10 units across. And over here on this side, it is 5 units tall. Let it catch up. Okay, so here we have our two sides measured, and we know we could multiply that. We could multiply our 10 units times 5 units. So we've practiced that. We could also add 10 5 times. We've practiced that. But we know that if we take the 10 and we multiply it by 5, what do we get, Selena?
50 units squared.
50 units squared, because all of these pieces we've measured on our surface are squares. So we call those units squared. Now, I want you to think about the names for the parts of this rectangle. This bottom row or this bottom part has a special name. It's not the bottom of the rectangle. We call it the base of the rectangle. So let's go ahead and label that. The base is right here. The base is 10 units. And this side has a special name. We call it the height. And the height is 5 units. So when we were looking at this and we said, I've used all of my scrap paper, so we'll use a post-it note here. When we were looking at this, we said the area was 10 times 5, but what we were really saying is that the area is the base times the height. And this paper is not going to work. I'm going to need to use my math journal. And if you have your work from last time, this would go, here's the work from area of my refrigerator. This work would go right here with it. See, when I write with pen, it bleeds through, and that's why I want you to use pencil. I'm using pen so you can see what I'm doing. So what I want you to write in your journal is area of a rectangle. And there'll be a picture of this that you can refer to. And we're going to say that we're looking for the area of a rectangle. So I drew a big A and then a little rectangle next to it, and we're looking for area of a rectangle. That's what we're trying to find. What is the area of a rectangle? Now we have our rectangle. It looks like this right here. There's our yellow rectangle. We have the base at the bottom, which is 10 units. And we have our height, which is 5 units. And we know that the area of this rectangle is equal to our base, the base of our rectangle, times the height of our rectangle. The base is 10 units. The height is 5 units. And now we solve that. What is 10 units times 5 units?
50 units.
50 units. And when we look at it this way, they're just tick marks on the bottom, but when we actually look at area, they are the squares. So it's units squared, or we could say 50 square units. 50 square units. Now, at a very minimum of the work you're doing, let's make sure that you can see us. At the very minimum, you need to have this in your journal for you to refer back to. So your paper should have a header saying area of a rectangle. You should have a rectangle drawn and labeled with its base and its height, you need to have the formula area of a rectangle equals B times H, and then fill in what those are. The base is 10, the height is 5, and then we did the math. And so this is what we've done here together. You can draw a squiggly line, and then it's up to you to find rectangles to practice. Now, you can just draw rectangles in your journal. You can just trace the lines on the graph paper. So like, how about this little guy right here? That one right there, and you could count across the bottom. It's 1, 2, 3 units. And then this side here was also 3 units. And so then I would do the math. The area of this rectangle equals my base times my height. I will show that up closer so that you can see it. I was doing it in pencil so it wouldn't bleed through so much, but I know it's hard to see. And then we would say the area was 3 units on my base times 3 units on my height. And 3 times 3 is 9 square units. And then you can draw another rectangle in here. I'm going to draw a long, skinny one, like that. And it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the base. And it has 2 on the height. So this one is the area of this rectangle equals base times height, which is, base is what?
9.
And the height is what?
2.
And what is 9 times 2?
18.
18 units squared. Look at how quick that was. We did our lesson work and we just followed up with 2 examples. Lickety split, no problem. So I hope that when you are doing this work yourself, that you have fun drawing some fun rectangles. I do want you to take pride in your work and make beautiful work. So take your time, use nice handwriting that we can read and check. And then this will be your follow-up, is to show me the pictures you've drawn with your labeled sides and the work that you use to solve your answer. Now, the answer in area is always square units. And if you're drawing it in here, your units are obviously just units from your graph paper. But if you're using some other measurement device, like a rectangle in your environment, you would need to say square inches
or feet.
Square feet or
square pen.
If you're using a pen. If you're a 5th or a 6th grader, I want you to be using either the units in your journal or a ruler, because measurement is something that is a skill that you should have already, that we've practiced before. Okay, I hope that you learned something new. This lesson is finding the formula for the area of a rectangle. The formula is the answer to the area of any rectangle. And that formula is right here. Area equals base times height. The formula for finding the area of any rectangle is the area equals base times height. And now you can go out and find the area of whatever rectangle you want. Your picnic table, your piano stool, your mac and cheese box, any rectangle you find, base times height. I can't wait to see your follow-up. Let me know if you have any questions. I can't wait to see all the exciting things you do, and I look forward to seeing you next time.